Hello, Guardians, and welcome to the 39th episode of the Mytho Class Podcast. My name is ProTo, and I'm joined by John, as per usual. How have your past 2 weeks in Destiny been?
Well, yeah, that's a good thing you bring that up because last week I was sick as a dog. Luckily, did not come down with bronchitis.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Because
Probably
now that I've had bronchitis once, that means I'm more susceptible to get it. In subsequent seasons of sickness. But yeah, I just had like a minor head cold and probably like the easiest one I've ever had to deal with, but it's just I sounded terrible.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It was like runny nose and I sounded awful. But honestly, like getting through a day, like I wasn't like fatigued. I wasn't like yeah, it's just like medicine wasn't helping me like normal, but the difference was like I was actually able to go throughout my day. But anyway,
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better because we have a lot to talk
yeah.
about.
Yeah. But yeah, my last couple weeks, it's been, well, this week it was Iron Banner. I've been focusing a lot on Iron Banner. I'm not to like rank 10 or package number 10 yet. I'm still working on that. And then we completed the raid. That was fun.
Yes, we'll talk about that more later, but
Fun and funny how we completed it. And what else? Let's see. I got my Hunter to 305. I now have all exotics for the Hunter. I forgot about Knucklehead Radar, I think the last time we recorded. And Zur sold it, so then I finally got it. And the other thing that I've been doing is that I've started playing Crucible on my other characters. So I'm not just playing Crucible on my Hunter and then that's it. I'm playing on the Titan more. I'm playing on the Warlock. And then I also finally got a Better Devils. Finally. It was from Hawthorne, actually, the clan engram for Crucible. So
nice.
I was
Even though that's not
really happy about that.
It's really more of a PvE weapon, I found, than a PvP weapon. I enjoy it much more.
It was kind of half and half.
I mean, it does have explosive rounds, which are pretty good in PvP, but I really enjoy it in PvE a whole bunch.
Yeah, but I tend to use Flared Magwell and I think the middle sight. It might be True Sight. I don't remember.
I think you're right.
But yeah, I'm not using Crossfire. But honestly, I was like flip-flopping back and forth between Better Devils and Judgment, the Trials hand cannon. And I don't know which one I like more, so it's just kind of a toss-up.
You're talking about in Crucible.
Yeah, in Crucible, that is. In PvE, I'm probably not going to use a hand cannon in the kinetic slot. Although, if I can remember it, is it the Prophecy or True Prophecy? The Future War Call hand cannon. Of course, I'm asking you, the person that didn't really play much.
Yeah, I only got like one Future War Call weapon.
Yeah, it's on my Titan or not. Yeah, True Prophecy. The reason why is I mention True Prophecy is while it is a slower rounds per minute at 110 as opposed to 140 for Better Devils and Judgment, slower round per minute, but it has timed payload, which is kind of like a hand cannon version of Telesto from Destiny 1. The perk description is projectiles attached to enemies explode after a short delay.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there's Alloy Magazine, which kind of helps the painfully slow reload speed. And then since I do have gauntlets that have kinetic reload speed, it makes it manageable. And I have really liked that as a hand cannon for PvE. I've also liked Dire Promise, which is the dead orbit hand cannon because it's got triple tap and appended mag. So yeah, just a lot of hand cannons, but what else? I'm trying to think of like what else I've.
It's been a while. We haven't recorded in 2 weeks. It's been
I
a long
know.
time.
I mean, the big thing is the raid.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we finally did the raid.
Definitely. But I mean, I pretty much have done the exact same thing. I did reach rank 10 on my Warlock and Iron Banner. I have played a little bit of it, and it's been kind of iffy. I don't know if you want to discuss Iron Banner like in depth now, or you want to discuss it when we get to it in like when we talk about the TWAB and stuff.
Maybe we'll talk about it once we get to the TWAB,
Yeah.
since that way we can kind of elaborate more as we talk about it more.
But other than that, I haven't really been playing too much more. I mean, my hunter is like 2 items away, like 2 power levels away, like 0.2 away from 305, and my Titans is still a fair bit of ways. But yeah, I've been playing and trying to power up all my characters at 305. It's been quite enjoyable. And we did complete the raid, pretty fun. Took longer than we expected, but yeah, that.
I would have to double down on that and say not only did it take longer for us to actually get into the raid to attempt it, but then it also, I feel like it took a lot longer for us to complete it.
Yeah.
It actually took us what, three different days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I almost want to kind of chalk that up to me trying to stay like completely blind to, which honestly at that point in time, it was, at least the day we were doing it, was kind of pointless because I just pretty much got the lowdown of the mechanics from the person we were raiding with. And at that point, it's really just a hindrance more so than like kind of cool. I mean, yeah, it would have been cool to visually see like the raid for the first time. That was cool in itself. But like knowing the mechanics, I was only really slowing down our progress more so than anything. So it was kind of, I don't know. I really just wanted to try to do that blind run, take several hours, but at this point in time, we are so far behind in discussion of things that we really didn't have the time to do such things. But
yeah, heck, we've already got prestige mode on the horizon.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I couldn't do it blind, but it was still very, very enjoyable. But we can discuss that a fair bit. Do you want to discuss it right now? I mean, it is off.
Yeah, I would say so. That's our big highlight.
Yeah, it's the
of
big
like
one.
our playing.
Well, I guess we'll kind of do like a broad stroke here. So I don't know the community's terminology used for these different encounters, but we have like the pleasure gardens or the dogs. Then we have
the bathhouse.
Bathhouse, yes. And then what's the third one?
The gauntlet.
Gauntlet, yes. Gauntlet, and then callus.
And then the door opening.
The door opening. I don't really know if you want to call that an encounter.
I mean, I feel like because it happens every time you need to go somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's kind of part of the raid.
Yes. But I mean, if King's Fall included that door opening sequence every single time you wanted to do a different part of the raid, would you call that an encounter? I don't even know.
I mean, I would say that the door opening process, sequence, whatever, I think instead of it being jumping puzzle from location to location, it's a combat focused transition from
I like that it's
one arena to another.
It's enjoyable. It definitely adds some like
spice.
Yeah, it makes the transition from one encounter to the next encounter kind of not so, I don't know. It's just like that nice little transition from one encounter to the next. But technically, you don't have to do them even. You can just use like the underbelly to kind of go from encounter to encounter and skip that entirely.
Yeah, but I kind of like it.
I mean, I like it too. And also the underbelly is a maze, and I still have no idea what's going on down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I I guess we start off. Look, so the encounters switch their order in which you have to do them every single week. So in
Right.
the week that we tried it, the first thing we did was pleasure gardens or dogs. So I guess that's a good place for us to talk about, a good place to start at least. So the dogs was I don't know if you want to go into like mechanics. I don't think we have to at this point.
No,
It's
I
pretty
just
far into
like
it, and I feel like people can understand the mechanics from watching a different video or listening to someone else talk about it.
right.
So yeah,
I did so I guess my role was that I was holding the um golden crystal that kind of shot the flowers to then give the empowering spores to the team. So that was my job, along with basically throughout the whole raid. This gentleman that knew what he was doing and was explaining it to everybody. Um, he and I were always like the two away from the group. Um, so as we go along, like there will be a pattern where I was kind of separated from the group um, activity part of the raid, and yeah, I thought it was fun, even though um, depending on which flowers were picked first for a while, it was basically an an instant wipe. What wasn't it like? The
R2, the right side flower, the second one away from
yeah,
like the middle one on the right side. It was quite the doozy. It took us a while to figure out exactly the route we should have taken. We first tried, I think, like we tried going straight to it from the cave where we could pick up our little orbs or whatever. And that was very very difficult with how many dogs are like patrolling the area. So we figured out we could just go from the middle and wrap around the backside, and it was fairly easy. And yeah, I mean,
outside of just getting that timing down, I mean, it was a
yeah,
pretty fun
it was
encounter.
enjoyable. It kind of gave you the whole Gorgons feel from Vault of Glass. The whole you can't be seen, you can't be caught. You have to be really methodical
I
in your movements and be
I
slow
would say it
paced.
kind of combines like the Gorgon like normal version of it and the challenge
Yeah,
of it too.
definitely.
And it kind of bridged that really nicely.
Yeah, it was
Um,
a very nice encounter. It was very well done. I think they made it so it was very very difficult to just kind of power your way through it. You really had to communicate very effectively because not only do the people down low running around with the dogs have to communicate with each other, but they also have to communicate with the people up top, knowing which flower to go to and when they can and when they can't go. And it was a
right.
very well done encounter, a lot of teamwork involved, and it was very fun to like be rewarded for good teamwork when you had like multiple dozens of stacks and you were able to melt those
Yeah.
dogs super super quickly, and it was very very good. And it made like good teamwork being rewarded is a very good thing.
Yeah, I appreciated kind of the side effect of that of needing coordination
Yeah.
was I appreciated the clear and clean communication. Like when it did happen, there wasn't a lot of like shooting the breeze kind of stuff. Like that was kind of happening in between encounters, but I liked it. The really the Leviathan raid as a whole, I liked it because there was a rhythm to like the call and response of what was happening, and it felt more of like a team building activity as opposed to I don't know. I have memories of like Vault of Glass and Crota's End where it's like, oh shoot, I ran out of rocket launcher ammo, or I gotta pop a heavy synth, or blah 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 blah, and just like additional communication that ended up cluttering up what I was hearing. And so yeah, I it was a very selfish and like a nitpicky thing, but like I appreciated the emphasis on teamwork and how that ended up affecting our communications as a whole, because when we were successful, the comms were clear, and if we weren't, usually it was because we were messing around.
Yeah, and it made it
Or
even more so important because it was our first major encounter as a group.
right.
Opening the door or whatever was, it didn't require much communication outside of like punching the scion to drop the shields of those centurions. So outside of that, this required a lot more communication, a lot more teamwork, and it was a really good proving grounds for our team to figure out like who could talk when and who knew what and stuff like that. It was very. I have a feeling that this is going to be the encounter that breaks LFG teams. If you can't do this, then there's no way whatsoever you're going to do Callus correctly or effectively.
See, to me, I thought it was the gauntlet.
Really?
For communication.
Yeah, Gauntlet is difficult, but I feel like this, if a person messes up quite bad, I feel like, yeah, Gauntlet is pretty communication heavy as well, but I feel like this is a little bit more, actually, I don't know. I think about it, because you can technically kill the dogs at only 2 stacks, and you can just push through it. Gauntlet is a little bit more iffy, but we'll get to Gauntlet, but...
yeah.
Other than that, I really enjoyed Dogs. It was a very unique encounter. It did combine aspects of previous encounters, but it was unique in its own right and what it made the team do as a team.
Right. And it didn't feel like it was okay, let's take part A, let's take part B, let's combine it together, or like a encounter A, encounter B, combine it together and then give it a paint job.
Right.
It did feel like its own unique experience, and it was only until after the fact when I started thinking about it retrospectively did I think, oh, this has a lot of similarity to blank, which was, the Gorgon maze plus then the challenge mode or the Age of Triumph ornament record book thingy.
Mm-hmm.
That challenge.
So after that, we moved on and went back out, opened the next door, and we went to the Gauntlet? No.
The baths or bathhouse.
And we just demolished that, I think, in like 1 or 2 tries, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was 3 tries. I think it was like one time.
Did we wipe on that?
I think we wiped once, then... The second time...
Yeah, I think the second time we did it in 2, I feel like.
I thought it was 3, because it was...
I don't want to say 3. We
were going to give it 1 try, like one solid try, because RJ and I both had to go, like, we had to work in the morning. And then we, like, immediately had, like, started over. And then we had to wipe, but we were making good progress. And it was just like silly deaths. I don't remember what it was. But then it was like on the on the second like actual attempt that we completed it. Like the first time it was like we realized as a team that we were fine and that if we just gave it one more shot, we would get it.
Yeah. Whatever it was, we did it very, very easily. It was probably, actually not probably, definitely the easiest encounter of the whole raid for us as a team. Very, very easy. And I don't think that's because the encounter itself is easier, but I feel like it has to do with how over-leveled we were as a team, which I had to say now, before it gets too late into, we were all like over 300. I want to say maybe one person was below 300. I think one person was like 290 something.
294 or 6.
I want to say 7, but I could be wrong. He was definitely definitely above 290, and the rest of us were above 300, and I think a couple of us were 305. I don't know. I don't know like throughout the whole raid, but a couple of us were like definitely over 300. So we were able to demolish things that people doing the world's first run definitely could not have demolished.
Like I remember the math class example was like one person wasn't able to get power ammo, and so then they weren't able to kill their bather
Yeah.
with the daggers, and then would get like demolished.
Just like
And
one hit.
honestly, I felt like I could have used any combination of like 3 or
Grenade or
4
something. Yeah.
things. Right.
Grenades
Even
plus
even as a
primary.
hunter, I could have used like 3 or 4 things
Yeah.
all at once and still, or well, not all at once, but like to take care of one bather, and I would have been fine.
Yeah, the Beavers never
Um,
really gave me an issue. I usually killed it before it even had a chance to come at me.
right.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like the encounter was trivialized by how overpowered we were, and it's funny because we had never ran the raid. We were coming to the raid overpowered, never having ran it. So we didn't
Which
have.
is probably something we'll bring up later.
Yeah, so we're coming in and we just. And I'm pretty sure our overpoweredness led to taking out those little like canisters in the main room of the bath rather quickly. I feel like higher levels you are, the more damage you're going to do to those things and take them out quicker. So if you're a lower level, you're going to do more cycles of this encounter to get those canisters destroyed. And I think a good team could easily, very very easily, take out all those canisters in one run, combining heavy
Yeah.
with supers and stuff like that. So, the more overpowered you are, the more trivialized this encounter becomes, and it's almost an afterthought how easy it is compared to the other ones. With how it's very forgiving when you make mistakes, I feel like, as opposed to the other ones where if you make a mistake, you pretty much have to wipe.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, Other than that, yeah. I mean, unless you wanted to add more to this more discussion to this encounter, I think we can move on to the gauntlets.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
which was an interesting encounter. It was like it's quite unique. It's actually very, very unique in how it's playing out. It's like a game show, which reading to the lore, we're essentially part of Callus's game show. And he wants to see us do like these incredible feats to impress him. So we were having to coordinate and shoot things incorrect timing, and people had to jump through hoops, literal hoops, and collect things. It was a lot of moving parts, and I feel like this one also would require a team to have really good communication. Otherwise, it would just lead to people failing, people wiping, and break teams very easily if you don't know how to keep your cool.
right.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
So for this one, since the bath encounter doesn't really have like specific people and specific roles, here again, the other raid teammate and I were the ones that were primarily running in the first 3 cycles around the arena, and then the rest of the team was on the inside of the main arena, taking care of things. And I very quickly realized that I had to be better at double jumping than trying to use triple jump. So
really, triple jump wasn't very good.
I felt like I was losing too much speed. Like I felt like using double jump and having like the strafe jump on a hunter was closer to how I had seen somebody do the gauntlet before, where they were using a Titan.
You have stompies. Do stompies make a difference?
I didn't want to have. I mean, I own a set of stompies now, but at the time
They were
I
too
didn't
low
have.
light or something.
Yeah, and I didn't
Power.
really want. My exotic that I kept on infusing up was the Orpheus rig. And so because of that, I was like, well, do I want to do I want to infuse stompies for basically one encounter, or do I do I continue to upgrade and infuse Orpheus rig, which I've seen at many a time. I've
Orpheus
seen
ring is amazing. Like bar
Yeah,
none.
I've seen like basically be able to use my super 2 and 3 times within the span of a minute.
That's so good.
So
Um, yeah,
yeah,
I did watch some gameplays or just some people running through raids, and since I spent very little time actually doing the gauntlet, actually having to jump through those hoops, I didn't really get a feel for it, and I'm guessing as a hunter it can become a little bit difficult, especially when it comes to positioning yourselves through the specific holes and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean it was a very interesting thing, and I'm gonna say up front, it's probably my least favorite, and it's not because it was difficult or anything like that. It was just I don't know, it just didn't really gel with me. Just something about it didn't really feel like all that great.
yeah, I feel like the gauntlet was a little bit of a misstep. To me, it was like if this. Oh, I don't want to draw this comparison because I think the encounter that I'm going to bring up is really awesome, but I feel like it's a like a decaffeinated version of the Siege engine, where I feel like there are fewer moving parts, but yet it's much easier it's like a worse version of the Siege engine where there are fewer moving parts, but then if one person messes up, then you're basically done for. And there's basically no room for error. And I mean, it's I think a lot of it is because there's not a whole lot of action.
No,
Um,
I mean, there's action, but not in the kind of like thought process you would think of action in Destiny 2. It's a lot of just like running around and timing your shots and just jumping through stuff.
yeah,
And
it's not as
there's very
fun.
little gunplay involved in the actual like difficult part of the encounter. Um, and I think that's why it didn't gel with me. I'm not going to say that everyone has these thoughts, and I definitely would understand why people enjoy it because it's definitely unique. It's very, very different. It's the whole like game show type thing where you have to jump through hoops and time your shots and make sure you're communicating well. But for me, it just didn't feel all that enjoyable. Maybe because I just enjoy the gunplay like way too much, and I just don't enjoy like the puzzle aspects. I don't really know, but
Right.
um, I don't know. It just didn't really feel all that great. And maybe over time it'll feel better, or maybe the prestige mode will make me think differently with the changes it's coming with. But right now, I'm just not feeling all that great about the gauntlet. Um, yeah.
I think we can go on to Callus from now.
Right. So Callus, the big bad boss. So pretty.
Or one of many bosses.
Ooh.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't play all roles. I only pretty much had the shooting the skull portion of the raid. I didn't get to experience the outside portion where you had to punch the scions on the plates. So I can only really speak towards the skull shooting part, but that part was unique. It was different, and it was a very enjoyable different having to move and position yourself correctly on this board where you're getting pulled through. And it led to some pretty clutch feeling moments, like shooting scions right before they're about to launch you and taking things out quickly. And actually, I think on the run where we killed Callus, it took us, I don't know how many runs it took us to kill Callus, maybe like 20, if that sounds about right.
Oh yeah.
It took us quite a few, not to the point where we were like pulling hairs and like getting really.
No, there were like a handful of times where it was just like some kind of cheap deaths, I'll say, or like
I want to say that.
unfortunate deaths.
Yeah, and it's just bad, like poor timing, like being unable to res a person because the person with a res token, was on the other side. Just really unfortunate. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like we knew what we were doing. It's just really unfortunate things were happening. But yeah, I think on the run where we killed Callus finally, I got launched by one of the scions, and usually when you get launched, it's like game over. But I ended up um, pushing my character like past the hole and onto the next like little wall that was formed by the guys in the throne room, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So like I pretty much like if I didn't push, I was gonna get like sent down a really bad path. So I just it just so happens that the run where we beat him, I got launched, and usually launch is a bad thing. So it felt really good there, and made me feel pretty successful in understanding the encounter and stuff like that. But it was a good encounter. It was really unique, and it gives you that whole satisfying feeling of doing optimal DPS. It makes you
Or
really
yeah, doing massive amounts of damage
yeah.
if you have your loadouts correct.
It really rewards the players that know what weapons are good, know how to control the recoil of their weapons, and knowing how to be where you need to be to get the most DPS as quickly and efficiently as possible. And
Oh yeah,
yeah.
because every time we would wipe, I was looking at the damage numbers and I was like, oh yeah, I'm at the top. Totally pulling the selfish and just feeding the ego card. I was like, yep, I've got the best loadout here. I've got the best damage numbers. even though like most of the reason why that was happening was because of the rally barricades by the Titans, but even still, it was like, yep, I've got Celestial Nighthawk in my back pocket. I've got Sweet Business. I had Uriel's Gift basically just for add damage. And then maybe if like there wasn't a rally barricade and I had used Sweet Business, I would swap over to Uriel's to then just empty out the magazine, and then in the process of getting then to the next platform, I would take out Sweet Business and just marksman dodge my way over. But yeah, then I was using Curtain Call too, and I was so happy every single time we would wipe, because even though we were wiping because of one reason or another, it was like, oh, let's see if anybody comes close to me in damage, and it was like, nope, and yeah, after that happened so many times, it probably fed into my ego too much, but still, it was a fun time.
For me, the rally barricades very rarely worked, and I don't know if it was my positioning or just my
Oh yeah, it was
misunderstanding
positioning.
of how rally barricades worked. But like so many times, it wouldn't like proc, and I was like getting so frustrated. It was like, dang,
Yeah,
I would always have to look down, see where I was at like relative to the barricade. I was like, God dang, I gotta move, gotta reposition, and getting six people on this platforms was very difficult. It was just like so difficult to get everyone behind a barricade and doing the maximum
right.
DPS with everyone evading that reload.
Right. And then also, like, for me, the other thing was trying to make sure that if I did utilize the rally barricade, that I didn't crouch and then double tap
Oh yeah.
the crouch button and then, like, knock somebody off or,
uh,
like, knock somebody out of the way. Oh my gosh. I did that once and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get my butt chewed because I did that. But, yeah,
uh,
it was a fun
yeah.
encounter.
I did get one time
The
where I was able to fire off 6 rockets on a play because of rally barricade, and it was like, oh, yes,
right.
it feels so
The
good.
I think the one time we took him into robot form and I used Nighthawk and pretty much I want to say like a magazine and a half of Sweet Business. And oh my gosh, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see the damage numbers. And then we kept going. And then I don't remember why, but we ended up having a wipe. And I just remember looking at the damage and I was like, yeah, that's why I don't use Cold Heart.
I don't like cold heart. Just the recoil doesn't do it for me. Maybe it's because I don't have enough energy
Ooh,
recoil
maybe you should
mods
use,
or
yeah,
whatever.
maybe you should use one energy recoil mod.
I think I usually do, actually. It's just like always on.
Oh.
And I still don't like the recoil of Cold Heart. I don't know what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, what was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say. Dang it. Yeah, I mean, we did get one time where we got him down to the final stand, and some people in our group didn't know he did a final stand, so we were like, damage him. We're like, what? And we wiped because
I feel like we were all still standing on that one plate, and then we just got bombarded, and then
it was the most
that plus everybody going into like a revive frenzy because it's like, oh my gosh, we have everybody down and we need to damage him because it's the Oryx last stand kind of thing, and then like nobody had ammo because we all kind of ran out. Yeah, that was a pretty funny fail.
And then there's like, it's just like there's dogs everywhere when he's doing the last stand, so not only do you have to like shoot him and make sure you're trying to do the most damage, but like there's also dogs just chomping at your ankles and stuff like that, and it's really difficult. Makes it kind of chaotic, and doesn't really help that people didn't know that he did that. So yeah, but next time we got him down to the final stand, last stand, it was very, very shortly afterwards he was taken out. It was good. It was very enjoyable. It was even though I knew what to do, I definitely like studied beforehand, making sure I knew what to do. It was still very difficult.
Yeah.
We did it without like 2 Warlocks too. We couldn't do the double Arc Soul on the skull part and get stupid amounts of skulls. We still can usually got like around 70 or 80 or so, I feel like, is on average. It's still pretty
It's
good.
all right. We brought in a ringer.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny though.
It was pretty good. Very enjoyable. A very good raid. Yeah. I still feel like as a whole, the Destiny community is becoming too accustomed to how Bungie develops their raids. I feel like if this was the first raid, if we replace Vault of Glass with Leviathan, I feel like which do we think would have taken longer to complete as a world's first, as Destiny's first raid?
Ooh. I still think Vault of Glass.
I think mechanically,
is more difficult. Mechanically, I feel like Leviathan is more like a King's Fall kind of thing, but not as mechanic heavy.
I feel like Vault of Glass was more about like doing DPS. If you could do damage, you could beat the raid. But Leviathan's more about executing things on points with correct timing.
I don't know, because I feel like the raids that I think are like fairly similar to each other, which I kind of mentioned, was King's Fall, Leviathan, and Vault of Glass. And I feel like they're all kind of in this triad of, if it was the first raid, it would probably take a long time.
I think honestly,
King's Fall I feel like would have taken the longest, right?
Sure.
Just because we would have had no idea whatsoever. And I feel like the only reason why it was completed potentially within one day was because of the prior knowledge. And also keep in mind, what if it was the hard mode? Like, what if the hard mode of King's Fall was the way it launched?
Oh my god. That would have been stupid difficult. I mean, honestly, right now, like, there are some things I literally would never think people would have thought of. Like, just Oryx's plates and knowing how to do the plates part, and then knowing how to damage Oryx himself, that would have taken, like, so much longer than it took. I mean, it took people a long time to figure out how to damage Oryx.
Right.
But not knowing how the mechanics of the game worked and trying to do damage to orcs, oh my god, it would have been crazy. It would have taken
Yeah.
easily just for orcs like 6 to 10 hours just for orcs.
Yeah. But I like to me, I think I would have liked or I shouldn't say it. I think I would have liked with the Leviathan, yeah, I kind of wish we didn't have as much of a background rating because I feel like people aren't going to look at it as fondly because it is the Destiny 2 raid, and because it still feels like a Destiny raid, they're still going to compare it to the rose-colored or rose-tinted glasses view of King's Fall and Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves quite a bit of credit because of the setting, how large
Oh, it's
the
a
raid space
it's a
is.
gorgeous place. Like I wish I
Um,
had more time to explore and just like visually take in the raid. It's great.
and this is the first time really since the Taken King where I want to know every ounce of lore like leading up to the raid and then surrounding the raid and then kind of the um the question factory that is once you've completed the raid, then what?
Like then what in the story, or then what do you do?
Like, okay, you've completed the raid and then you're revealed that like there are just a bunch of callous
Oh yeah,
robots.
yeah.
And so then,
It's like what does that mean
who
story wise?
right, exactly. Like what does it mean? Then who really is Callus? Is he like what are these robots compared to him?
Right.
Um,
I mean, in that fact,
I
it's a great raid because it really leaves that carrot on a stick of like, oh my god, there's more to do, there's more to see.
right, there's more to the story than just us doing this thing,
Yeah,
which is something that I feel like King's Fall
kind of did.
kind of did on the leading up to. Like there's a lot of story in the Books of Sorrow or Book of Sorrows, whatever.
But you would have to do like you'd have to read that to understand that. I mean, this puts it in front of your face, like, oh my god, there are just
Right.
suits here.
Right, but I'm saying like with Gaul and Callus, like there is some story that leads up to it, which I would say is kind of similar to the Book of Sorrows with Taken King, but I think with the Leviathan, what it executes and what I really, really like about it is that there is so much more to consider, like after the raid. Like you're still thinking about at the end of the story, the cutscene that we had mentioned before, and you're also thinking about Callus and kind of well, who really is Callus, and so many questions after that.
Yeah, and I mean, in that
Like
sense,
after
it's great.
completing it.
I mean, like there are so many
Right.
aspects of this raid that are like fantastic. I mean, I feel like we don't spend enough time talking about as community, we don't spend enough time talking about how great Destiny 2 is, how great the raid is. But going back to the main point, I just feel like I was ready for this raid to really be like a time sink. I mean, it took I think the for world's first raid team 6 hours to complete, which is no short amount of time. But I feel like I was prepared for so many different things to be done. Which, granted, there were different things done here. There were more in-depth puzzles. They required us doing different things than we had seen before, but they weren't like out of the norm, things that you wouldn't expect of Bungie. And it's hard to ask that of Bungie for them to do things that we didn't expect of them to do. But I don't know. I just feel like as the more raids we do, the less amazing they'll get because we just know what to expect, know what to do, know
Right,
what
because
becomes of a raise.
there's only so much that can like pop up on your screen
Right.
to explain what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, once like there's kind of a formula with raids. I mean, like there's always mechanics that prevent damage being done to a boss. You got to figure out how to remove their shield, do damage, and repeats. It's essentially that over and over, and that's just how raids are. And the more we do raids, the more people understand that concept of
Well,
that
and the more variations that Bungie ends up using, which then kind of limits the overall possibilities that they have left
yeah.
to then use.
And that being said, though, I feel like overall it's a very great raid. I just don't think people are gonna think back fondly of this raid because it's I don't know. For me personally, I had more fun doing King's Fall than this raid. It's like the way it is. I mean, yes, there are fun moments. I mean, the dogs, the pleasure gardens was definitely great. It was a very fun time, but I don't know what it is. It's just this raid to me doesn't feel all that amazing. I mean, out of like a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it like a 7, maybe. I don't know if that's good or not. If that's like what I would.
I thought you were gonna give it like a 6.
I thought 6.5 for a moment, but like I didn't want to sell it too short. I mean, I did enjoy it. It was just like there were things there that felt underwhelming. And I think it may have to do with the fact that there are very few big bosses we can kind of put like a target on. I mean, King's Fall had Golgoroth,
3.
it had War Priest, it had the sisters, and then it had daughters, sisters, whatever. I mean, technically they are sisters, but they're also the daughters. So there were just a lot more big targets to kind of put next. Like, oh my god, how am I going to defeat this big boss and move on to the next step? I mean, it felt more extravagant in that sense. Like, oh my god, Golgoroth is huge and massive, and he just like melts you if you just stand out in the open for too long. And War Priest is this big knight, and he's like unique in that sense. And you have the daughters, which is amazing encounter, and then you have orcs, which is huge. But this raid, there was just so little. There wasn't just enough feeling of like extravagance when it came to the raid. I mean, yes, the location was great, visually it was great, and Callus, yes, I mean he's not big and gigantic, but the battle with Callus itself was great. But like thinking of Gauntlet or Bathhouse or Pleasure Gardens, they weren't extravagant. They were unique, but they didn't feel like, oh my god, I just took out this big guy. I don't know. That might be part of it. That could be all of it. I don't really know what it is. It just doesn't rank as highly as I wish it had ranked, considering it is the first raid of Destiny 2.
See, and for me, I don't know. I feel like way more positive. I still enjoy Wrath of the Machine. Like, I really like Wrath of the Machine. And I also am a big fan of King's Fall. There's kind of like a God of War kind of feeling with King's Fall, and just how you're fairly tiny compared to some of these bosses and some of the like even the jumping puzzles in King's Fall make you feel very small. Because of your size relative to the play space. I mean, to me, I would probably give Leviathan maybe like an 8.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit higher, depending on what we see out of the prestige and challenge.
Yeah.
Or prestige modes, and then the challenge. I don't know if challenge mode is really a
Yes, maybe
thing that I want to say.
Mode within a prestige mode. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We do know we're in prestige, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I mean, I don't want to give the raid a definitive rating now, because we do have the true raid in quotes coming up, because I mean I don't
Right.
know if their design process of designing raids is still the same, where they make the true raid and then they bring it down a couple notches to design the normal mode raid.
I think that's probably the way that it
Probably
is.
is, and that being said, I really can't give the raid a true rating until we play it in its true form.
Right.
So
But I mean, at face value, like I like it,
yeah,
and I think that in the future I would be willing to do it again and again and again. I just don't know how, like in a guided game scenario, I don't know if I would want to go
oh,
through
I
that.
don't think I would want to go through it either. I'd rather go through like an LFG site than try to do guided games. Um, so again, this is take my opinions on with a grain of salt. I only have ran the raid once, so you can only take my opinions with a grain of salt. So maybe over time, the more I do it, the more I'll enjoy it, the more I'll become to understand the nuances and like really appreciate them. Right now, I'm just feeling a little bit underwhelmed by it. It's still good, but just could have been a little bit better. Anyways, I think we should move on. We can still have a little bit to talk about.
Yeah.
Specifically, the TWAB over the past 2 weeks. So last week on the 5th, there was a TWAB, and it talked a little about Iron Banner. And we actually have gotten the opportunity to play some Iron Banner since then. So a couple things we're going to talk about here. We kind of already understand if you've been playing Iron Banner. So it's already Control, and they added a new map this time around with Iron Banner. It's called Distant Shore on Nessus. It's actually a remake of Shores of Time. Same essential layout. There are a few tweaks here and there. A few power positions kind of moved around. Specifically, C flag is moved around quite a bit. That back boat spawn is switched up around for me. Makes it a little bit less power position-y. Makes it a little bit less. It's not as powerful to hold C and B as it was in Destiny 1. It's still good, but not the be all end all for teams.
Right.
And they removed the boat in the back there, so you can't literally sit back there with a sniper or something stupid like a Mytho and just snipe into that cave area.
And also, I think a lot of that it has been remedied by the fact that you can't, like it's not 6-on-6.
Yeah.
So there's not as many people to just say, okay, we're gonna have one person here that's gonna anchor down the spawn, or potentially even two, and have people anchor down the spawn. So yeah.
Right. And just run around the aspects of Iron Banner. It's like 2 times a 4. You still earn tokens here to get back to Saladin to earn packages. You earn a package every time you get 20 tokens. And there are challenges that you can do daily for each character that earn you 15 tokens in total once you complete all of them. And
Right. So I think it's like 2 tokens for the
yeah,
challenges.
2 tokens for each individual challenge, and then 15 tokens for completing all 3 of them per character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you receive armored weapons when you rank up, and you get 2 different shaders, 2 different legendary shaders, in addition to the rank up packages. Very similar to how the Faction Wars was, where you have 2 shaders per faction. And these milestones are daily and seasonal, which we'll talk about a little bit more the next topic. But overall, I mean, John, what were your thoughts on Iron Banner? We talked a little bit about it already, but like, how has it been for you compared to like Iron Banner and Destiny 1?
I mean, I am enjoying Iron Banner in Destiny 2 more so because I feel like there are just more people playing Crucible.
Yes.
Um
I do notice there's a lot less
in
lag. You don't see people lagging like crazy.
Oh yeah, like the whole like Iron Banana yeah, Iron Banana lag. The Iron Banner lag doesn't seem to be affecting things as much. In fact, pretty sure I haven't run into anybody lagging in Iron Banner yet.
No, I don't think I have either.
And then the weapon choice is not as try hard. I mean, there are people running Midas, so okay, but it's not like I think one of the things that has helped Iron Banner, even though I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why it is the case right now, is that there's no level or like the level advantages are disabled. So like I understand it because it's the first Iron Banner. They probably don't want to like force people into specific loadouts just because of, whatever is their highest light level gear. But I do think that's kind of the whole reason why you would play Iron Banner over regular Crucible.
So you
Was
think
that
they're going to add light level advantages enabled for the next time?
maybe not next time, maybe like
2 months from now.
In year one of Destiny 2, but maybe not right away. I don't know. I just think like I understand that they don't want to force people into specific loadouts based on highest light.
Right. I understand that.
And so I am okay with it. And so I'm not like super salty about level advantages still being disabled for Iron Banner like it is for regular Crucible. But I like it.
And what are your thoughts on the armor? Do you like the armor? I mean, you're a hunter.
Well, I mean, I like the hunter armor.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the hunter armor.
I mean, that's pretty much all I care about.
On point. Can't say the same for like warlock armor, unfortunately.
I feel bad for the Titans and the Warlocks because I feel like
the Titan armor. To be perfectly honest, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the hunters I feel like the best looking. I like their helmet.
Oh yeah.
The cloak looks good. The overall armor looks good. Warlocks feel like I don't know what they are.
The boots are kind of what like I don't know. The boots look worse on the Warlock, even though they're fairly similar to the Titan. Like not like copy paste, but like the shoe portion of the boots is like really off-putting on the Warlock, and I think a lot of that is because of the robes.
It's the robes. The robes is what puts me off entirely. The helmet's kind of cool looking. I got the helmet, like the first drop was a helmet, and I was like, ooh, that kind of looks nice. But the chest piece, I just cannot do it. I don't know what it is about Iron Banner and me with chest pieces. I've never liked an Iron Banner chest piece, besides maybe the first Iron Banner of Destiny 1.
Yeah. I do like most of the Titan. I mean, now that I'm looking at it, like I do like most of the Titan armor and even the individual like sections. I'm not a fan of like the wolf on the shoulders.
Wolf on is that a little bit too gaudy, a little bit too much for you?
Yeah. And it's not even like the color scheme is fine. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's like the lack of it. I would say like they put too much there because I don't know what it is, but like all the Titans seem to have just really like bulky, blocky, like too show offish shoulders, and then the Warlock, it's like I don't know.
It's just the like skirt like-ish part. It's just I don't.
Oh, see, I'm fine with that. To me, it's the shoulder area for the Warlocks.
Really?
Is like,
the shoulder's fine for me. It's just whatever is on like that, like the metal studs on the gownish part. It's just no, I can't.
Oh, yeah, I don't mind that so much. But yeah, to me, it's like the shoulder area on the Warlocks. Just there needs to be something done.
Like there needs to be something added.
Yeah, like there needs to be a little bit more volume around the shoulder area because to me it looks too close to a hunter.
Yeah, I can understand. I think the hunter looks perfect. The hunter has the perfect amount of like stuff. There isn't too much. Yes. It's not too little. It's just perfect. And the cloak looks good too. But yeah, I mean the shaders look pretty good too. I can definitely see myself putting the shaders on multiple different things potentially.
All right, and Iron Banner fashion over.
Yeah. But have you had the chance to use some of the Iron Banner guns? What have you gotten so far?
Nope.
No, nothing.
I have received 2 pieces of armor.
Oh, that's it? You haven't received any guns yet?
Boots and chest. Yep, that's
Alright.
it.
Well, I can say something about the Iron Banner Pulse, the kinetic pulse called the Time-Worn Spire. It is
Is it a 540 rate of fire?
It is indeed, and it has Zen Moment on it. Tactical mag or accurized rounds, and a few decent sight options. But I enjoy it quite a bit. I do need to. I'm thinking about putting 2 kinetic recoil mods on my armor to kind of really make it stable and kind of reminiscent of D1 Grass Malik or the like. But it's very, very good. And I find myself switching between that and Nightshade quite a bit, depending on the map. So other than that, I don't really find myself leaning towards any other weapons. I've only gotten the sidearm, the sub, and I think I want the scout. And I do believe the scout is another one of those slow fire rate, high impact scouts. So I'm not really too much of a fan of it. But I haven't heard too much about any of the other Iron Banner weapons. The Pulse seems to be the one people are gravitating towards. Yeah, pretty happy about that, grabbing that. But yeah, that being said, my personal thoughts on Iron Banner thus far is that you pretty much need to play in a team. Otherwise, you are putting yourself in a pretty bad disadvantage, especially considering how important team shots are in Destiny 2. Being able to communicate with your team is like, okay, let's rush towards B capital fast. 2 of you stay back on A and make sure you hold off the push that's coming to you guys. Having randoms wander aimlessly around the map and trying to like tell them like you don't need 3 people capping that one flag. That is ridiculous. Yeah. It's very frustrating, and it makes playing solo Iron Banner even that much more difficult. You thought it was difficult in Destiny 1. It's far, far worse in Destiny 2, especially with how important rolling as a team is. And God forbid you go against like a group of 4 people in the same party. That is just like you're done for.
Yeah, even going against a team of 3, I feel like I'm at a
Definitely.
like significant disadvantage.
Oh, yeah. Even 2 groups of 2 would be pretty bad with just a whole bunch of randoms on your side. So I'm not a fan of that. Having 6v6 Iron Banner kind of led to that more chaotic playstyle where you could pull your team up out of the ground, and it made pub stomping a little bit more difficult because you needed 6 people in a group. But having 4 people, it's very easy to just find a group of 3 other guys and just team up and play Iron Banner. And I've played quite a bit with a group of 4 people in one team, and I don't think we ever lost. So do yourself a favor and play Iron Banner as a group of 4, and you shouldn't ever lose.
No, everybody plays solo, so then that way those who are playing solo don't have such a bad time.
I don't know the logistics of it, and it's probably very bad for connections, but if anything, this would be the time to implement the whole where if you're in a group, you get matched with other groups. And I feel like that would make solo playing Iron Banner a lot more enjoyable, but that being said, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. I mean, how do you feel about the token thing though? Like the whole getting 5 for a win, 2 for a loss. I mean, how is that stacking up to Iron Banner in Destiny 1? The progression with Iron Banner in Destiny 1 for you? I mean, I don't know how far you.
I just don't like. I'm not a fan of the whole token system. Like, it's fine that it's there, but I wish there was a different system.
Right. And I feel like we'll get...
It feels like... I don't know if it's just because it's ingrained into my head because of Iron Banner from Destiny 1, but I just feel like I'm getting participation awards to then go turn in tokens to Saladin to then get an engram. It feels not... It doesn't feel the same.
Right.
But like I'm still happy with it. It's just it doesn't feel the same it's kind of lost that.
Yeah.
Um,
At this point in time, I don't know if my opinion's going to change in the future, but I would have preferred having two weapons, two pieces of armor being available, like very similar to like Destiny 1 style, and just using tokens to buy those specific things, and then getting random drops at the end of game.
yeah,
I would have preferred the old system, but just replacing some legendary shards with tokens. Um, and make them super expensive to kind of mitigate the whole having ranks in Iron Banner on Destiny 1. So you needed like 60 tokens to purchase this god roll, whatever, and 60 tokens to purchase this piece of armor or whatever. I would have preferred that, and then maybe getting, I don't know. I don't know how it would work in Destiny 2 with the locked loadouts, or not locked loadouts, but like predetermined roles and the way armor works now without intellect, discipline, and strength. Um, so it's difficult to say, but right now it feels way too grindy, and maybe that's just because we're used to getting the stuff that we want really quickly. I don't really know. It just doesn't feel very rewarding, and I don't like the way it feels. Um, Maybe that will change, and I hope it does. But right now, I'm not enjoying Iron Banner as much as I would have um, in Destiny 1. Uh, but yeah, maybe we should move on.
moving on.
Right.
Yeah.
So they did talk about last week about a TwitchCon panel they're doing. It's going to be streamed on the 20th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, and they're talking about seasons and what they mean in Destiny 2. And they're answering questions like what do seasons mean in Destiny 2, what will change from season to season, how many seasons can we expect, and when does season 2 start. So we're currently still in season 1, and one thing I do know is that the clan rewards will roll over, not roll over, but resets in the next season. It says that on the tooltip when you go to inspect your clan rewards and achievements. So I do know that's changing, but I really don't know what to expect in season 2. One thing I literally just thought of, maybe different things will start dropping. Maybe we'll get new weapons. Who knows?
Maybe some different clan perks.
Maybe. Well, I feel like that would be a given considering one of them says like increased glimmer from killing Cabal or whatever, and changing that to like increased glimmer from killing Fallen or Vex or whatever. I don't know. Um, but that'd be pretty nice. I don't know. I just feel like the changing of a season, considering that they aren't monthly or even bi-monthly, it seems like they will change pretty drastic things within the play space. Um, Maybe how the like tower looks. Maybe new things will change in the tower. New dialogue. Who knows? I'm just excited. I'm cautiously optimistic about seasons, and I'm really interested to see what they talk about when it comes to this live stream. I'm definitely gonna be tuning into it. Yeah. You want to talk about the prestige mode, perhaps, of the raid?
Let's just keep trucking.
Yeah. So they also talked about in the TWAB from last week about the Leviathan prestige mode. It's going to be available on the 18th, a couple days from now. They actually had to postpone it from going live when Iron Banner was going live because of some exploits being found preventing things from working the way they were supposed to. Just some shortcuts and things that would have made the world's first on the prestige mode a little bit less prestigious. So they're holding back on it, and I think from what they're saying that change or that exploit will still be there essentially, but it won't count as the world's first if you do use that exploit. So that's good to hear, and they're saying that the recommended power is going to be 300, and that, I quote, mechanical changes to the encounters are minimal. The goal was not to provide a boon to your character progression, but there are unique rewards to help you shine. And they did say that the world's first will be counted as a thing. So it's interesting, and very specifically, the quote on the mechanical changes in the encounters are minimal, and the boon to your character, it's not supposed to be a boon to your character, as in it's not supposed to give you extra strength or extra light. So we're still going to be at 305, that's what I'm guessing. Um, but they're rewarding us in ways to make us shine, but not with extra DPS or powerful gear. It's more, I'm guessing, cosmetic. It seems like. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true, but the wording they use makes
Maybe
it
a
seem like
special hard mode shader.
yeah, maybe extra, maybe like a different set of armor, different like visually different set of armor, different shaders, for example, maybe a different emblem. That's actually probably a given, a new emblem from the prestige mode. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it's interesting, and it's kind of given some hardcore players a little bit of salt. I've heard some people kind of like saying like, "Oh, that's not good." And usually, like when a prestige mode would come out, it would be it would mean like a power level jump or something large on those lines, meaning that there was going to be some light gainage or some extra loot becoming with the prestige mode. But with the way it seems like now, it's going to be like, okay, you get different cosmetic armor, and it's like it's kind of giving me some cautiousness here. I'm not really enjoying it all that much. So, John, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think they'll change the prestige mode? Do you think they're gonna add like? I'm hoping that they don't add just a whole bunch of majors like they did with like Crota's End or something along those lines. But like mechanically, what do you think they're gonna change?
Um, there might be something additional that you'll have to do when going from plate to plate on Callus.
Mm.
Like in order to activate a damage phase, you might have to do something else and then stand on the plate.
Well, they did some mechanical changes to the encounters are minimal. I just don't know how
Well,
minimal they intend.
adding one enemy that you would have to kill, like maybe you have to melee a scion to like activate, or you have to melee a designated scion to like activate the plate or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like something small. Honestly, I feel like they could do the most with the bath encounter. As
Yeah.
far as for prestige
Considering
mode,
it's relatively easy now.
it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward too. Um,
But no, I was thinking on the gauntlet. So like the final thing where you have all six players in the gauntlet. Yeah, the gauntlet. You don't need all six players to survive. I think you can do it with three or two. I think with the hard mode or prestige mode, they can make it so all six players have to survive and slam their
yeah,
little orb or whatever. And in addition to that, I think when you have that one player from each side going through the gauntlet and collecting that thing to start the final part of it, they could have enemies spawning during that. So the two players on the outside shooting those things simultaneously, they'd have to like coordinate around enemies too. I think that would add some difficulty to the whole communication. Like, okay, there's a major standing right in front of me, in addition to having to smack that scion and stuff like that. I think it would add some difficulties to that encounter. I don't know if that's what they would
yeah.
do, but yeah, I definitely could see them adding more of those. I don't know if they're called psionic projections or whatever like that, but those scions with those little
Sounds about
yeah,
right.
whatever. I think I think they're gonna do a whole bunch of more of those things, or at least stick them places where you wouldn't expect them and make it difficult. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm just curious to see what they're gonna do. Um, but yeah, in addition to that, I think this week specifically with the 12, they talked about the PC launch, which is very shortly coming very shortly in the future. It's let me look it up real fast. I don't know. I don't have it up because I'm bad at podcasting. It's coming on the 24th for the US. Um, it's going to be available 10 p.m. Pacific or 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. So it's going to be pretty good. I don't know if I plan on playing it at launch. I don't think it's that big of a deal considering everything's kind of out now. There's no like world's first raid. There's no like none of that kind of stuff. They might count whoever gets the world's first raid on PC, but I really don't think it's all that important or all that like prestigious. Um, I don't know. I mean, John, what do you plan on doing? Do you plan on like getting on PC to see what it's like, on day one?
No, I'm probably just gonna I just need to make sure I pre-order it so that I can get Cold Heart.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'll probably just try and play. I'll probably just try and play alongside my girlfriend because she is going to get Destiny 2 only for PC. And so that'll probably be something that we
Yeah, I can play with you
the
guys.
campaign together. Yeah. We can have a fire team of 3
Yeah.
and it'll be a grand old time.
But yeah. That was pretty much it for the TWABs. I mean, they did talk a little bit more about the raid, the prestige raid, in this week's TWAB, but nothing too extravagant here. So yeah, I mean, that being that, do you want to get to like the final discussion point here, which is kind of late in this episode? I feel like considering we've been on and off a little bit too much, considering it's only been Destiny 2's only been out for a little bit, and we've been kind of bad with recording. And
Well, I mean, there have been some obstacles in the way.
and I really do feel bad about that. I feel like they almost deserve better than that. Yeah. So recently in the community, it's been quite a thing about players being a little bit upset about the end game of Destiny 2. People have been saying like it's just not coming up to their standards. It's just not meeting their expectations, and with how much there is to do. And there's been a little bit of backlash upon what D just said in the community or in a TWAB. And it wasn't this week's TWAB, but I'm pretty sure last week's TWAB where Deej kind of made some comments that led people to believe that the game isn't about the loot. It's about making friends, or friendship is the ultimate loot of Destiny 2. Which is kind of cliche and kind of cringeworthy, but Deej just come out to say that that's not really what he meant. He really meant that as just a story, and that's not his thought process on like what the community should be seeking from the end game. And it's like it's not right to kind of put this blame on Deej. Deej is really just kind of a liaison between the community and Bungie. He's not the reason that we don't have the end game that we seek. So pinning this blame on him is definitely not the way to do it.
Just like in the Call of Duty community, like in Black Ops 2, when everybody would blame Vonderhaar just because he was the community manager,
right.
doesn't mean that he's the person that ended up nerfing the DSR.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
oh my god.
I don't know, John. Like, I'll let you take this one on the head because I really don't have to say right now. But what are your thoughts on the end game? How does it stack up to your expectations? I mean, are you enjoying the grind past, let's say, 290?
I mean, I am enjoying it because in the process, that means I will get, like, for my alternate characters right now, I'm able to get exotics in the process that will kind of, like, finish out my journey to 305. But, I mean, the thing that was a little bit of a problem to me was that we, as a fire team, we were able to get to Callus and already be at maximum light level with our
we started the raid at 305. I mean, like we were already.
Well, I mean, you and I both on our mains, we were at 305.
Yeah, I mean, like we didn't.
By the time
we didn't need the raid to be at 305.
Right. We didn't need the raid to be at the maximum power level, at least for, normal mode or whatever. And I think that for us to have been able to just do other things in the game, um, I'm mainly looking at like the flashpoints and the clan engrams, because that was like a huge source of leveling, or progression from like I'm gonna say 265 on. I wasn't really like I'm a fan of it because that means that somebody can try different activities and light level really isn't a problem like it could have, like it was at times in Destiny 1. And honestly, that's a lot of the reason why I delayed doing specific activities, was because I wanted to make sure that I was at the correct light level. And a lot of times that meant kind of waiting for specific events to roll around. And the like, I think you level up too quickly if you are just playing solo. I think that there should be more of an incentive if like the ultimate loot is friendship. There should be more incentives to get together into a group to then complete activities to give you those power increases. 'Cause sorry. Because I think that the ability to go into the raid at maximum power level is kind of odd. Like, it doesn't feel right. And I think part of that problem is just how often you get, like, clan engrams that are, kind of like they are powerful gear, or playing the Crucible, and then after a certain number of matches, or however many participation points you get, then you get a powerful piece of gear, and that's a power increase. And then there are a lot of things that you can do to then not really like there are things that you can do as a solo player that kind of devalues what Destiny 1 had for an end game.
So let me ask you this. Do you think Destiny 2 is too casual friendly? Do you think they made it too easy to progress in this game to the point where we can progress so quickly that we don't even need the majority of the end game to even reach the final bit? Because right now, it's like, how many weeks has it been since launch? Like 5 weeks, maybe, at most. And we're already like max light. If I had played as hard as I
think
could have.
6.
6? Okay.
Because think of the flashpoints.
Yeah. That's
and
true.
we're back on Nessus.
If I had played as hard as I could have every week, I would have 305 characters. It wouldn't have been super difficult if I just raided and done trials on every single character, in addition to all the other milestones. I could have been 305 in every single character.
Oh yeah.
And that is so much more quicker. So much the point that it's like ridiculous that like once you're 305, there isn't much left to do besides maybe getting every exotic and getting all the armor sets and getting shaders. But like, that's not really much of a grind. That's not really much of a pull towards back to this game. So do you think this game is like too casual friendly? Does it really benefit? I mean, it's like, is it pulling in the casual too much and kind of pushing
I
the
would say
hardcore
that
away too much?
that it's pushing away because of the system that is in place with the weapons, and I would say a little bit because of the armor. It kind of pushes away the people that would play constantly, and it caters a little too much to the person that maybe can only play in the, I'm going to say, single digits of hours per week.
Uh, I, I've been kind of feeling the same type of way. Um, and I don't want to like. I feel like I don't know. There are some people out there that have been kind of like bashing the one percenters, which I feel like John, you and I, we kind of are. I wouldn't say 1%. I feel like we are definitely within the top 5% of players.
Yeah,
Um,
for Destiny 2, but I feel like we have the mentality of a 1%,
yeah,
but we don't have we don't have the numbers to back
yeah.
uh that mentality.
That being said, I feel like there are a lot of people bashing these people, the people with this kind of mentality right now, but saying like you're elitist and you're kind of taking away from the fact that this game is great for the. It took a lot of feedback, Bungie people specifically, from Destiny 1 to kind of make this game more available to the casual player that doesn't have the time to spend like 30, 40 hours per week playing this game. Um, and I'm not trying to devalue that Bungie did make a lot of good efforts to make this game much more streamlined. Like you can from logging into your character, you can complete stuff very, very quickly in a very short amount of time, and that it makes the casual player feel good. Like, oh, okay, I got on for 20 minutes, and I got my flashpoint done, and I got like powerful gear out of it, and I boosted my light level up by 2, my power level by 2, and that only took me like 20, 30 minutes. But for the hardcore, that's just like I wouldn't be mad if there just was more things to do, and there are not. And that being said, this is the first iteration of Destiny 2. This game will get better over time, and Destiny 1 had the same type of deal, where Destiny 1 vanilla was not very good. Like bluntly, putting it bluntly, compared to what Destiny 1 ended up being. I just wish they had taken what they had learned from Destiny 1 and kind of brought it forward and added things that we had hoped for and like expected of them when Destiny 2 first came out. And there were just things missing, things that like we feel like we needed, like grinding things that we just don't have anymore, like strike specific gear or like I can't even think of things right now, but just things to grind for, things to do that kept us coming back. Like I don't want to go back on my word because I really do like static rules, but right now static rules is very, very bad for the hardcore player because once you get a weapon, you don't need that weapon anymore. You don't need to get another one of it. And it makes it very difficult to be like, oh, I got like another Better Devils out of my package. It's hard to be excited when you get like your 4th Sun Bracers from a package or whatever. It's
Or your 10th Sunshot. I've been counting.
But those are exotics.
I know,
shouldn't
but
have said that.
still.
But legendaries right now are just in a weird spot because once you get one, you have no reason whatsoever to get a second one. Armor, like chasing tier 12 in Destiny 1 was a grind that I got behind. Like being able to like pull up dim and check all this new gear I got, checking if it was tier 12 compatible or if it was like 100% or something like that, was very satisfying. And Destiny 2 has no grind like that. I mean, yeah, you can collect shaders. Yeah, you can get all this gear at 305, but like that's not like the kind of fun that I want to have. Finding something at 100% and being able to like min max my loadout to the extent that that did, it just doesn't do that for me, and it doesn't do that for a lot of hardcore players. And the end game right now is just so shallow, and it's really disappointing. And I really don't want to be disappointed because I really do enjoy the game. I love the gunplay. I love the story. I love community, and I love what Bungie has like done thus far. It's just I don't want to be disappointed right now, and it's unfortunate that I am.
Yeah.
And
I mean, my end game right now is basically is completing all the adventures on one character.
yeah, I still have yet to do that, and I kind of kick myself because I haven't because there is a crap load of story, a crap load of lore packed in those adventures, and I'm not saying that I'm not trying. I am impressed by what Bungie has done with integrating the story within the game without using Grimoire, and I think they've done that well. But I think they've taken away with the progression system and endgame and how fulfilling it was to do things, and they traded the hardcore's ability to grind with the casual player base, and it's
The relatively instant gratification of, oh, here's something that is better.
yeah, it's
But then again, like whatever is better, it's gun number, I don't know, 43. And the next time I get gun number 43, it's going to have the same exact roll on it.
yeah, and it's I don't know. And I feel like it's almost exasperated by the fact that everything in Destiny 2 has kind of gone to the token system. Where like, okay, here's a token and you can redeem it for such and such reward. And everything has
Yeah.
gone to that point where there's just, it doesn't feel like you're getting rewarded correctly. It's just like, oh, I'm going to do this so I can get this to turn in for this. It's all of that. Like, even the raid has become a token system. And at first, I kind of enjoyed the system. It made it a little bit, another word for it, but it made it a little bit more systematic in the way it worked. And I kind of enjoyed that for a time. But right now, it's like everything's gone to that point where, like, okay, I need to do this for a token. I need to do this for a token. Like, everything you do is for a token. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's like, even like story or lore wise, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. I don't know. It's Destiny 2 is in a weird spot right now, and they stated in the past or in these past TWABs that they're taking our feedback and they are learning from it, and they're trying to implement ways to kind of make the end game a little bit more fulfilling. And I'll just read the direct quote from them. I think this was this past TWAB, this most recent TWAB. So I quote, "One thing we have noticed is a lot of discussions about the end game and how it can be improved. Right now, these discussions are also happening in our studio. We're listening, but need more time to digest everything and draw up the best plans for the future. We'll have more to say on this soon. Please stay tuned and keep the conversation rolling," which is good. I'm happy that they are kind of communicating with us, that they are taking this feedback very heavily and discussing it in studio. I'm just unsure of how they're planning on keeping this game as alive as the players has come to expect it. I don't know, John. It's like, I don't want to be disappointed, but I kind of am, and it's like really not making me feel all that great because I've had really high hopes for Destiny 2.
I still have high hopes. I just think it's going to be, I mean, as weird as it is to say, I think it might be a year before we really see some large strides.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in vanilla D2 in this era. We're going to be in it for a while. Like there will be events that will kind of spice things up a little bit, but it's going to be a while before things get revamped.
I just didn't want to, like, some people were discussing on Reddit about how Destiny 2 is just like a it's following in the same footsteps as Destiny 1, where like the vanilla game was kind of the or like the shell of a full game, and over time it becomes a full game with all these add-ons, all these different things they thought um, the game would need over time. It's like it's disappointing. It's definitely a better game from the get-go than Destiny 1, but I just didn't want vanilla Destiny 2 to be this shell that people made fun of because like, oh, they shipped a half full game and they're going to give us the rest of it over time. I didn't want that to be the case, but like I can kind of see where some of those people are coming from. I mean, it's just like there's very
Right.
little to do, or like with how quick the progression system was. I mean, I'm enjoying the game quite a bit. Like I love Crucible. I love like the story in the game. I love like how difficult that raid was. Um, but like the end game is just it just felt so like quick to complete. There just wasn't enough of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess it's like hard to be satisfied with a game. It's like especially a game like this. You always want more. And as a community, we're always going to be like thirsty for the next thing. I don't know. I don't want to dwell on and be too negative, but I guess we could kind of give Bungie some constructive criticism. So, what do you? We spent some time beforehand constructing a list of things we thought Bungie could implement over time.
I wouldn't really call it a list, but okay.
You didn't.
It's just one
Oh,
point.
really? Just one point. Okay.
Yeah, I thought of a couple others, and I was like, nah. I just want I really for me I just want one thing, and that's just music volume adjustment in the menus, so that instead of like having mute or not muted, that you would be able to say like mute or kind of have their step system like they do for the game volume
Right. Yeah.
from 0 to
Being able to separate
100.
music from just like sound effects in game.
Yeah,
That'd be very nice.
because there are a lot of times where I would actually prefer to turn the sound effects down and just have them more of the music play,
Definitely.
or turn the sound effects down and then have the music play along with whatever voices are going to interact with you.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
If I had to make one point, and it really kind of became apparent to me earlier today, I probably wouldn't have remembered this otherwise, but I was messing with my mods, and some more mod slots would be fantastic. Getting like
Oh yeah, yeah.
getting to the point where you're just like, I have more legendary mods than blue mods in my inventory, and it's like it makes it extremely difficult to get more mods from the gunsmith because then you have to go around like moving them around to your vault and then moving them out, and it doesn't help that each character shares the same mod inventory, which is, I mean, I guess it's kind of nice in a sense. You don't have to be like transferring mods all the time, but it makes it so difficult to manage your mods when you have just so many of them. And I guess it's a very like first world problem, I suppose, or like 1%er problem.
No, 100 mod slots.
Just having the amount of slots to the point where you wouldn't need to stow away some to hold one of each mod.
Or yeah, just make it so that there is no limit.
I feel like that's easier said than done. I feel like there are definitely reasons why they did the way they did. But it's just such a problem, and it makes it really annoying to manage my mods. But in addition to that, I wouldn't mind it if dismantling weapons and armor with mods on them gave you some mod components. It just feels like kind of a waste.
Yeah, that would be nice.
To dismantle a modified armor piece or gun and not get anything out of it besides legendary shards. And then in addition,
or even to not get any additional materials out of it.
It's just something
just the
additional.
same that it would be for like a regular legendary.
Just to like, recognize the fact that weapon or armor piece had a mod on it. Just anything really. Just maybe a little bit more glimmer, or maybe like an additional legendary shard. That'd be nice. I don't know. Um, but finally, I also thought like just removing the vendor markers unless you could get a package from them. Like it's just kind of it's just
Yeah.
mildly annoying. Just a smidge. But yeah, just minor inconveniences that I feel like they could change rather quickly, and it would make the game a whole lot better. I mean, I'm sure there are more. I can't think of them right now, and I'm sure I'll think of them like as soon as I start playing again. It's like, oh, this is kind of annoying. I should have thought of that when we were talking about
Right.
it.
It's a good start. It's a nice small
Yeah.
batch of things.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying not to be negative here. This was a very negative episode, and I really don't mean to make this episode seem as negative as it is. This game is a really great game, and I definitely plan on playing many more hours. And I'm actually like super excited to play on PC. I'm ecstatic to play on PC. Um,
Yeah, I'm excited to play with friends on PC too.
yeah. So, and even then, I'm definitely gonna play more on console. I definitely want to get both my Hunter and Titan 2305 and play the raid a whole bunch more. Actually, I crapped on it a whole bunch when we were talking about it, but I really do enjoy the raid. It's just there are some things that kind of meet my expectations, and I guess I had some overly high expectations when it came to the raid. But um, yeah. So as it is there anything else you wanted to talk about here? We winding it down
Nope.
quite a bit. All right, so I think next week we'll have a few things to talk about. I think we'll have the 20th is the TwitchCon then. So we might wait till after the TwitchCon then to do any kind of recording to maybe talk about seasons a bit, and we'll also have, I believe, the chance to talk about the Prestige mode. I don't know if we'll have played it by the time we record, but I'm sure
We'll have seen it.
We'll have seen it. Yeah, I mean, I really have no misgivings to watching people play the Prestige mode. I just really want to know about it and talk about it
Right.
as soon as possible. So we'll have things to talk about next week, and we'll try our hardest to be there next week. So I guess that is it. So you can find me, Longer Proto, on Twitter at iProto or on YouTube at Vision Proto. John, what about you?
You can find me at Flux from MC on Twitter. That's it.
Awesome. You guys listen this week. Pretty long one. I hope you guys did enjoy it, but we'll talk to you guys next week.
Goodbye.